Tao is obscured when men understand only one of a pair of opposites, of concentrate only on a partial aspect of being. Then clear expression also becomes muddled by mere wordplay, affirming this one aspect and denying all the rest. Hence the wrangling of Confucians and Mohists. Each denies what the other affirms, and affirms what the other denies. What use is this struggle to set up no against yes, and yes against no? Better to abandon this hopeless effort and seek true light. There is nothing that cannot be seen from the standpoint of the not I, and there is nothing which cannot be seen from the standpoint of the I. If I begin by looking at anything from the viewpoint of the not I, then I do not really see it, since it is not I that sees it. If I begin from where I am and see it as it is, then it may also become possible for me to see it as another sees it. Hence the theory of reversal, that opposites produce each other, depend on each other, and complement each other. Is obscured when men under... However this may be, life is followed by death, death is followed by life, the possible becomes impossible, the impossible becomes possible, right turns into wrong and wrong into right, the flow of life alters circumstances, and thus things themselves are altered in the turn. But disputants continue to affirm and to deny the same things they have always affirmed and denied, ignoring the new aspects of reality presented by the change in conditions. The wise man, therefore, instead of trying to prove this or that point by logical disputation, sees all things in the light of direct intuition. He is not imprisoned by the limitations of the I, for the viewpoint of direct intuition is that of both I and not I. Hence he sees that on both sides of every argument there is both right and wrong. He also sees that in the end they are reducible to the same thing once they are related to the pivot of Tao. When the wise man grasps this pivot, he is in the center of the circle, and here he stands while yes and no pursue each other around the circumference. The pivot... This may be, life is followed by... Hence he sees that on both sides of every argument there is both right and wrong. He also sees that in the end they are reducible to the same thing once they are related to the pivot of Tao. When the wise man grasps this pivot, he is in the center of the circle, and there he stands while yes and no pursue each other around the circumference. The pivot of Tao passes through the center where all affirmations and denials converge. He who grasps the pivot is at the still point from which all movements and oppositions can be seen in the right relationship. Hence he sees the limitless possibilities of both yes and no, abandoning all thought of imposing a limit or taking sides. He rests in direct intuition. Therefore I said, better to abandon disputation than seek the true light. 3 a.m. When we wear out our minds stubbornly clinging to one partial view of things, refusing to see a deeper agreement between this and its complementary opposite, we have what is called 3 a.m. What is this 3 a.m? A monkey trainer went to his monkeys and told them, as regards your chestnuts, you are going to have 3 measures in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. At this they all became angry, so he said, all right, in that case I will give you 4 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. This time they were satisfied. The 2 arrangements were the same, and that the number of chestnuts did not change, but in one case the animals were displeased, and in the other they were satisfied. The keeper had been willing to change his personal arrangement in order to meet objective conditions. He lost nothing by it. The truly wise man, considering both sides of the question without partiality, sees them both in the light of Tao. This is called following 2 courses at once. Cutting up an ox. Prince Wenhuai's cook was cutting up an ox. Out went a hand, down went a shoulder, he planted a foot, he pressed with a knee, the ox fell apart. With a whisper, the bright cleaver murmured like a gentle wind, rhythm timing like a sacred dance. Like the mulberry grove, like ancient harmonies. Good work, the prince exclaimed, your method is faultless. Method, said the cook, laying aside his cleaver, what I follow is Tao. Beyond all methods, when I first began to cut up oxen, I would see before me the whole ox all in one mess. After 3 years, I no longer saw this mess, I saw the distinctions. But now I see nothing with the eye, my whole being apprehends. My senses are idle, the spirit free to work without plan, without its own instinct, guided by natural line, by the secret opening, the hidden space. My cleaver finds its own way. I cut through no joint, chop no bone. A good cook needs a new chopper. Once a year he cuts, a poor cook needs a new one. Every month he hacks. I have used this same cleaver 19 years. It has cut up 1,000 oxen. Its edge is as keen as if newly sharpened. There are spaces in the joints, the blade is thin and keen. When this thinness finds that space, there is all the room you need, it goes like a breeze. Hence I have this cleaver 19 years as if newly sharpened. True, there are sometimes tough joints. I feel them coming. I slow down, I watch closely, I hold back, barely moving the blade. And whomp! The part falls away, landing like a clod on earth. Then I withdraw the blade. I stand still and let the joy of the work sink in. I clean the blade and put it away. Prince Juan Huai said, "This is it. My cook has showed me how I ought to live my own life." The man with one foot and the marsh pheasant. Kung Kung Wen Sun met a maimed official whose left foot had been cut off. Penalty in the political game. What kind of man, he cried, is this one-footed oddity? How did he get that way? Shall we say man did this, or heaven? Faces in the joint. Heaven, he said, this comes from heaven, not from man. When heaven gave this man life, it willed he should stand out from others. It sent him into politics to get himself distinguished. See, 1 foot. This man is different. The little marsh pheasant must hop 10 times to get a bite of grain. She must run 100 steps before she takes a sip of water, yet she does not ask to be kept in a hen run, though she might have all she desired set before her. She would rather run and seek her own little living, uncaged. The fasting of the heart. Yuan Huai, the favorite disciple of Confucius, came to take leave of his master. "Where are you going?" asked Confucius. "I am going to Wei, and what for? I have heard that the Prince of Wei is a lusty, full-blooded fellow and is entirely self-willed. He takes no care of his people and refuses to see any fault in himself. He pays no attention to the fact that his subjects are dying right and left. Corpses lie all over the country." He said, "Corpses lie all over the country like hay in a field. The people are desperate. But I have heard you, master, say that one should leave the state that is well governed and go to that which is in disorder. At the door of the physician there are plenty of sick people. I want to take this opportunity to put into practice what I have learned from you, and see if I can bring about some improvement in conditions there." "Alas," said Confucius, "you do not realize what you are doing. You will bring disaster upon yourself. Tao has no need of your eagerness, and you will only waste your energy in your misguided efforts. Wasting your energy, you will become confused and then anxious. Once anxious, you will no longer be able to help yourself. The sages of old first sought Tao in themselves, then looked to see if there was anything in others that corresponded with Tao as they knew it. But if you do not have Tao yourself, what business have you spending your time in vain efforts to bring corrupt politicians into the right path? However, I suppose you must have some basis for your hope of success. How do you propose to go about it?" Corpses lie all over the... Yan Huai replied, "I intend to present myself as a humble, disinterested man, seeking only to do what is right and nothing else. A completely simple and honest approach. Will this win his confidence?" "Certainly not," Confucius replied. "This man is convinced that he alone is right. He may pretend outwardly to take an interest in an objective standard of justice, but do not be deceived by his expression. He is not accustomed to being opposed by anyone. His way is to reassure himself that he is right by trampling on other people. If he does this with mediocre men, he will all the more certainly do it to one who presents a threat by claiming to be a man of high qualities. He will cling stubbornly to his own way. He may pretend to be interested in your talk about what is objectively right, but interiorly he will not hear you, and there will be no change whatever. You will get nowhere with this." Yen Huai then said, "Very well. Instead of directly opposing him, I will maintain my own standards interiorly, but outwardly I will appear to yield. I will appeal to the authority of tradition and to the examples of the past." Yen Huai replied, He who is interiorly uncompromising is a son of heaven just as much as any ruler. I will not rely on any teaching of my own and will consequently have no concern about whether I am approved or not. I will eventually be recognized as perfectly disinterested and sincere. They will all come to appreciate my candor, and thus I will be an instrument of heaven in their midst. In this way, yielding in obedience to the prince, as other men do, bowing, kneeling, prostrating myself as a servant should, I shall be accepted without blame. Then others will have confidence in me, and gradually they will make use of me, seeing that I desire only to make myself useful and to work for the good of all. Thus I will be an instrument of man. Meanwhile, all I have to say will be expressed in terms of ancient tradition. I will be working with the sacred tradition of the ancient sages. Though what I say may be objectively a condemnation of the prince's conduct, it will not be I who say it, but tradition itself. In this way I will be perfectly honest, and yet not give offense. Thus I will be an instrument of tradition. Do you think I have the right approach? Certainly not, said Confucius. You have too many different plans of action, when you have not even got to know the prince and observed his character. At best you might get away with it and save your skin, but you will not change anything whatever. He might perhaps superficially conform to your words, but there will be no real change of heart. Yen Huai then said, well, that is the best I have to offer. Will you, master, tell me what you suggest? You must fast, said Confucius. Do you know what I mean by fasting? It is not easy, but easy ways do not come from God. Oh, said Yen Huai, I am used to fasting. At home we were poor, but we went for months without wine or meat. That is fasting, is it not? Well, you can call it observing a fast if you like, said Confucius, but it is not the fasting of the heart. Tell me, said Yen Huai, what is the fasting of the heart? Confucius replied, the goal of fasting is inner unity, and yet not give a Confucius replied, the goal of fasting is inner unity. This means hearing, but not with the ear, hearing, but not with the understanding, hearing with the spirit, with your whole being. The hearing that is only in the ears is one thing. The hearing, the understanding is another. But the hearing, the spirit is not limited to any one faculty, to the ear or to the mind. Hence it demands the emptiness of all the faculties, and when the faculties are empty, then the whole being listens. There is then a direct grasp of what is right there before you that can never be heard with the ear or understood with the mind. Fasting of the heart empties the faculties, frees you from limitation and from preoccupation. Fasting of the heart begets unity and freedom. I see, said Yen Huai. What was standing in my way was my own self-awareness. If I can begin this fasting of the heart, self-awareness will vanish. Then I will be free from limitation and preoccupation. Is that what you mean? Yes, said Confucius. That's it. If you can do this, you will be able to go among men in the world without upsetting them. Confucius replied, the goal of fasting is it.